Hi everyone, this is Analia and I want to welcome you to my channel. This video is part one of a three-part series that I am creating on people pleasing. This is something that has been a big part of my life and I believe a lot of people struggle with it. I've spoken to a lot of women where this has shown up in their lives, so I 100% know I'm not the only one. But I think it's important that we talk about it. So here we go. I would not have had language for it at the time, but over time, I began to realize that this ugly thing that was looming over me in the form of people pleasing was causing me to slowly disappear. I'm 57, so I have been a people pleaser for almost most of my life, since I was probably 6 years old. So you can do the math. So obviously this started really early and it followed me into adulthood. And looking back, I needed it at the time. Like I could see the why and the when. I could pinpoint those times and it makes perfect sense. But by the time I understood what it was, it had already taken root and was shaping the way that I showed up as a woman, I'm starting really was as a young girl and then a woman. It became the way I related to people and the way I showed up in situations. Now, when I was young, I needed it because it was emotional survival. But then as I got older, there was no one to tell me that I didn't need it anymore. So I just held on to it because I thought it was something that I still needed. Now, again, this is me, being able to talk to you about this. This is me having looked back on when this started and everything subsequently since then. But what happened is that without even realizing it, I got really, really good at becoming who I thought people needed me to be. Conflict avoidance was huge. So because I didn't want to deal with that, I always tried to give what the other person wanted, become something that they thought I should be, that they wanted me to be, that they told me I needed to be. I kind of became a chameleon, able to just sort of mold and shape and color myself into this agreeable formation, right? And it showed up in so many ways. I seriously can't tell you how many choices I made that I knew weren't right, like clearly not right. And these decisions were made, they were out of fear. They were out of fear. They were holding on to the belief that if I didn't agree with a person or give them what they wanted or keep the peace, that I would be rejected or discarded, unwanted, unloved, the worst one. So I just said yes, a lot, to people who asked, to people who expected me to say yes, even to people who demanded that I say yes. And I did it because yes felt easy and no felt selfish. And I found myself in situations that I knew weren't right, but they were things I just went along with because participating in those things meant to the other person, it looked as if, oh yeah, she agrees. Yeah, she wants to do this. Let's go. But I didn't actually agree with a lot of those things. I gave my heart away to people who didn't steward it well and let them still come back for the easy win. Because what am I going to say? No. The truth was, when I look back, I thought I was being a good person, right? A good girl, a good mother, a good wife, a good daughter. But what I was actually doing was confusing permissiveness with goodness. I always thought, why wouldn't anyone like me? I'm good, right? I always say yes. And oh my gosh, I always said yes to everything. But the reason I did it was to avoid the hard conversations and the uncomfortable truths because I didn't want to be a part of those. Because what if those reflected back on me? That wasn't kindness or generosity. That was just a good old-fashioned conflict avoidance. And for a long time, I thought that being a peacemaker was the same thing. No, wait, let me go back. I thought that being a peacekeeper was the same thing as being a peacemaker, and they are two totally different things. Now, there's a history to this that I'm only just beginning to understand, and there's a reason that it felt necessary for me to hold on to this for so long. Now, in part 2 of this series, I'm going to talk more about when this all started and the origin of it. But for now, I just want to leave you with this, and that is that in this season of my life, God is really showing me that He wants to work with me on this. He wants to bring healing and wholeness and even forgiveness, because there's a lot of things in the way that I showed up as a pleaser that I need to ask for forgiveness for. But I'm learning what it means to live differently, to be free from this, to finally be able to say, I am no longer a people pleaser. Now, if any of this resonates with you, you are welcome to stay and come back for part 2 of this series, which I'll put up next week. Thanks for watching.